Hey folks, I just want to make a quick video to address some stuff because, see, yesterday I did a live stream in which I showed my new paper computer game. This is my new paper computer game. It is called The Unending Battle. I'm not going to show it in this video, or at least not, the whole game. I might show a piece of it or two, but basically when I showed this in my live stream yesterday, stuff got a bit weird, so I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. So yeah, let's do it. So yeah, basically, I made this game, and I think, to say the least, it wasn't what people were expecting. So I got I wasn't sure what kind of a reaction to expect. I didn't know if it was going to be, positive or negative. It was certainly doing something new. But yeah, this PCG sort of inspired quite a reaction from some of you. And so yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you about this today. Just to give you a sense of what the controversy is about, I have to show you the game at least a little bit. So this is the game. It is called The Unending Battle. It's my new paper computer game, and it's set on Epic Worlds PCG's game planet of Gondo. So basically, the issue started because, the game starts with just sort of like an epic build-up with one soldier, coming to confront another one, and they fight in an epic battle. But then later we find out you're playing as this girl, and ultimately when she's sent to help one soldier defeat the other, and we find out, once you go inside their place, that these two guys have fallen in love. So that right there provoked quite the reaction, you guys. So to give you a sense of, now let me just say, first of all, before we even see what kind of a reaction this is the first gay relationship in paper computer games that I'm aware of ever. It's never been done, and for that reason, I wasn't sure what the reaction was going to be. I wasn't sure how the community is on that kind of stuff. What is that something the community is cool with? Is it not? I was a little, making this, I was a little nervous for that reason. But let's get into what the reaction was. So here is the actual live chat replay from that live stream. So Epic Worlds PCG says, "I hate that." That is so already right off the bat, that is quite a reaction, because Epic just loves PCGs I make in general, and for something to be set on his planet of Gondo, or any of his Shogun planets, he's just super excited by that. So that right there, and then as we go on down, everyone type XS, everyone's typing XS, and Epic World is saying, to be fair, I'm just kidding, it's still alright, I guess. So, he, so a lot of this is joking, but I don't think it's entirely joking, because if it was, I don't think it would have provoked such a big reaction. I think, the fact that there was that big of a reaction at all, joking or otherwise, that sort of tells me that, something about this, kind of struck a nerve, and I think there's reasons for that. It's not clear to me how much of that is just because it is a gay relationship. I think some of it is. I don't think there's any way around that, because the thing is, it's not the first PCG that's done romance. Via came out with a PCG, The Ogre and the Princess, and, the ogre falls in love with the princess, and then he has to rescue her, and, everyone didn't immediately start to go, typing in the comments, Via sucks, So, to me, that is, I'm not saying you guys are all, anti-gay or whatever. I don't know, but, I think, I don't know. Regardless, there's more to it than just that as well, though, because a big part of this is certainly my fault. So that is something I wanted to talk about as well. I certainly did not do a good job of managing expectations for this game, because before this game, kind of came out, I was... Oh, by the way, I just want to quickly show you, Epic Worlds did also make a brief response video to my stream. So let's check that out just for a second.
We're gonna do a response to Zach's new game, which is, it's just, I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah, like, and he was, at first, and to be clear, like, after this, Epic and I have talked about this, and, we've sort of, come to an understanding about it, so. I do also sort of feel bad, because, this is Epic World's, planet of Gondo, and he was, one of the things he was saying at first, and, to be clear, I do think he was, like, at least partly kidding, but he did say, oh, you ruined my planet of Gondo, let's just blow up the planet now, it's ruined. So, yeah, while I do think he was sort of partly kidding, I do still feel kind of like bad that, I created that sort of a negative feeling from him, especially since he's been waiting and, he's been wanting me to make a PCG set on Shogun for such a long time. So where did this come from? How did this come about? Why did I make this game in this way? First of all, the thought process behind all of this is that, first of all, like, I started by thinking I wanted to make a PCG on Shogun, and I started thinking about, what am I gonna do on Shogun? I started thinking about, the Hento and the Kova and all that kind of stuff. But see, the thing is, I didn't, Epic has made a lot of PCGs on Shogun, so has everybody else, and, the one I've played, at least, like, exploring Shogun, they're sort of like big, epic kinds of PCGs, and I was started to think, what can I add to Shogun? What can I do that sort of hasn't been done before, on Shogun? And I wanted to, I thought, like, I started thinking, what is life like on planet Shogun? What is a day in the life of a random person living on Shogun? What is that like? And that's sort of something I wanted to explore here. So I decided I wanted to make a PCG that isn't sort of like an epic adventure, it isn't sort of like an epic battle, it's just sort of like a slice of life, just sort of like, hey, here's a random story happening to a random couple of people just living in the middle of this giant war going on, but that, they're not, like, fighting it. They're not the ones who are about to, like, win the war one way or the other. These are just some random people, living their lives. So I wanted it to be a little comedic, and a little, like, I wanted it to also have sort of a kind of, I don't know if I want to say dark story, but definitely a, I guess I wanted there to be sort of an interesting story to it as well once you get into it. Now, I'm not going to get into all of that, but basically, why did I decide these two have to be, together? Because, first of all, this intro here, the intro that they're, fighting each other, like, the story would have been over after these 2 pages. It would have been like, they fight, somebody wins, and that's it. Basically, the point of this PCG is I wanted to make it sort of like an exploration-based PCG. So as you go through the game, I just wanted to create all these sort of like interesting areas, interesting rooms to explore with sort of like a comedic or like, half-hearted goal that you're trying to, overcome. And, sort of the humor here is that these two have fallen in love, which is horrifying to you because your goal is to help one of them kill the other one. So that sort of provides a sort of like a comedic tension, like you're trying to do something that, maybe he doesn't quite want to do, or like you have sort of like there's a tension there. How do you do this when the situation has evolved in a totally different direction than what you were expecting? And so the idea of this is that, you can explore the rest of this house, and as you go, you can learn more about this, situation. You learn how this happened, how it evolved from them being mortal enemies into falling in love. That, like, as much as it may seem like just I'm trolling by making that happen, it's not. There's like in-story reasons for that. Now, as to why, like, it's a gay relationship, honestly, like, it is Pride Month right now. that honestly like totally slipped my mind. It wasn't even it didn't even occur to me. Like just that's just how it came into my mind that would be the thing. And I considered making one of the characters into a woman, but then I was like, but that changes the expectations though, right? Because like the point of this build up that one has to kill the other, that this is sort of like a comedic thing. It builds one expectation in you, and then you find out you were totally wrong. Your expectations about the situation were totally wrong. And then you have to explore this new and unfamiliar situation, and you don't quite know how to respond to it. You have a goal, but is your goal even the right one anymore? What are you trying to do here? And that's sort of what you have to sort of figure out by exploring the situation and by, learning more about what's going on. I mean, if I had chosen it to be two women, then immediately when you first see them meet, there's already the idea in your head that maybe they're gonna, fall for each other somehow. Like think of Batman and Catwoman. There's so many examples in fiction of how like two people can start off as enemies. There's sort of like a flirtation there, right? Like even before anything happens between them, you kind of start thinking, I wonder if something's going on with those two, right? So yeah, like I didn't want you to be thinking that. I wanted it to be, kind of a surprise. Unfortunately, that's maybe my undoing, because the fact that I made it a surprise, that I gave it such a big, epic intro, I think that is a big part of why there was such a strong reaction. Because I think people, they're expecting and wanting and hoping for one thing, an epic adventure, a journey, a battle, and then it ends up being completely the opposite of that. So yeah, I definitely managed expectations poorly, not just in how the game itself is, but also in what I said about it beforehand. I kept it secret, like this is top secret, I can't tell you what it is. And I should have just been like, yeah, I'm working on a quick PCG and don't expect a lot from it. It's not like a big epic adventure. It's just sort of like a exploration game. There aren't even any battles in it because yes, there aren't any enemies to fight in this game. It is totally exploration based. It is totally just getting to know the characters. And there's more characters in this game, by the way, that I haven't even talked about yet. But there's more to it than just that. It's not just like comedic, like haha, it wasn't what you expected. There's also a sort of an element of tragedy here, because these are two warriors on opposite sides of a brutal war. At least to me, from my perspective, the war between the Hento and the Kova is a little bit like the war between Russia and Ukraine. There's a group invading, and there's killing, and it's horrifying. It's absolutely one of the bloodiest, most brutal affairs, and like in a war like that, like there's like obviously there's the big obvious tragedy of so many people dying, and but also there's sort of like the more like the littler tragedies, the tragedies that you don't really hear about as much, which is that there's like in the case of Ukraine and Russia, these are two countries that are right next to each other. There's family members that, where one member of the family lives on one side of the border and the other member of the family lives on the other side of the border, and now they have to learn to, like, hate each other. And there's people who, maybe they just never met each other before, but, they become soldiers on opposite sides of this war, and they have to hate each other and they have to kill each other. But if things had turned out just a little bit differently, if the circumstances had been just a little bit different, those same two people might have become friends, or more than friends, as is the case here. Both, soldiers on both sides are human beings. That is going to be the case with the Hento and the Kova as well. Now, their romance between Galendrick and Razorfoss is not exactly a fully happy one, because there is a tension there that Galendrick still believes that the Hento are evil, that what they are doing to his people is evil, and that, Razorfoss, by being a soldier with the Hento, he can't fully, trust him. At the end of the day, the thing is, the heart wants what it wants, the heart, you can't help who you fall for. And in certain cases like that, I think this is a situation like this is pretty unusual. I think this would be pretty unlikely, but this is sort of an exaggeration, right? I think that something like this, sort of can happen because these are human beings at the end of the day, and if you were to spend enough time with a soldier on the other side that you would otherwise want to kill, you might find that there's a lot about them to love or like, even just as a friend, that you just usually don't think about because they're on the other side. It's your job to kill them, but even if you do, but it's not that simple either. It's not as simple as you just, we should just throw aside our arms and be, because what the Hento do need to be stopped, right? Someone needs to fight them and someone needs to stop them. So it's not as simple as we should just throw away our arms, because if you throw away your arms, you're letting the other side win. So you're letting them do horrible things to horrible people. So this relationship between these two is sort of symbolic of that. It is sort of it's a tension because they love each other, but they also kind of hate each other. They also see each other as an embodiment of the enemy. They resent each other because, especially because they can see all the good things about each other, all the parts of them that makes them great people, that makes them beautiful. But they see all of that. But then it's but you're still helping the Hento, right? You're still working with the enemy. How can you do that? And so you can't stop feeling the good things about that person, but you also can't stop feeling the bad things about this person. And that is why this game is called The Unending Battle. Because this is a battle with no winner. Ultimately, you there is no way to win this. And because of that, symbolically, here's, there is no way to beat this paper computer game. I'm not joking. There isn't. This is the first paper computer game that cannot be beaten. There is no way to win this. I didn't want to reveal that before I showed you the rest of the game, but I don't know. Now I might not even show you the game. So I'm just telling you that there's no way to beat this game for that reason, because this situation is. The only way to win this would be for the war between the Hento and the Kova to end. Before that happens, this situation is not going to calm down. They cannot stop, loving each other, but they also cannot stop hating each other. And that's sort of the tragedy of this. So that's why I wanted to focus on this sort of as a slice of life. It was how ordinary people, I guess these aren't ordinary people, they're soldiers, but you know what I mean, how people are dealing with living in the middle of this war. So because of that, Galendrick and Razorfoss come back to this place, which, and they fight every day. They try to beat each other. They haven't given up on defeating each other in an epic battle. So hey, if you wanted an epic battle, I guess you still kind of have one, right? It's just that there's now there's more stakes, because if they kill each other, they're also breaking each other's heart. So that's why in practical terms, there is no way to beat this paper computer game, because I built that into the mechanics of this game, is that if you succeed in killing someone, you lose the game, because that's one of your other goals, is that people you have to help them, and in order to if you kill Galendrick's basically his husband, he's not going to be happy, and so you lose the game as a result of that. There is no way to win in this game. So what's the point of the game if there's no way to win? Basically it's just to explore. It's to explore, throughout their house, to learn the history of how this happened, to, interact with and poke at and find all the different things, like discover all the other characters who are throughout this house, just find out how they interact with it. And it's basically just to learn about this little tiny slice of life as it's going on during a horrible war. Parts of this are horrible because they fight every day. They, their battles are, difficult, they're hard, they're painful, and if they win or lose, it's a tragedy. But at the other hand, there's something nice and cozy about, being in this house, just kind of existing and having, sort of this group of people around you in the midst of a horrific battle. So yeah, that is sort of, I guess what I was thinking in making the game. Like, I get that it, didn't resonate with people for, various reasons. And that's okay. Not everyone has to like every one of my games. I don't make a game expecting that everyone is going to think it's the greatest thing ever. In this one in particular, I knew there was a chance that it might get a strong negative reaction. Like I said, I thought that was a possibility. I decided to make it anyway. And you know what? At the end of the day, I don't, to be clear, I don't regret making the game. I still like the game. I'm not ashamed of this game in any way. I do feel bad that it made that it wasn't what Epic Worlds especially was hoping for, since he'd been wanting me to make a Shogun PCG for so long. I feel so bad that the one I made isn't what he was looking for. But at the end of the day, I made what I made, and parts of it may work, parts of it didn't work, but I had fun making it. And I thought it was a good story. At least to me, it was a good story. It was interesting to me. And for that reason, I feel satisfied by it. Even if, you guys don't all like it as much as I do. Which, I think is fair. But yeah, to sort of address the elephant in the room, as I mentioned earlier, it is a gay relationship. And, as I said before, I think that is at least a part of why, the reaction was what it was. I don't know that for sure. I don't know what was in your guys' head. So, I'm not trying to make any direct accusations against, of anything like that. But, I think that all of us, sort of have, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us, have a sort of a, at least I, speaking for myself, I have a sort of, visceral reaction, we've, especially for boys, I think boys have sort of grown up to, sort of think of that as bad, not even if the people around you are, very, modern and progressive, forward-thinking, whatever, even in those kinds of cases, I think boy culture in general is just sort of very, even putting aside the gay thing, it's just sort of very, boys sort of make fun of each other for being a little weak, being a little effeminate, being a little, girly, so, so if a boy is gay, if a boy likes another boy, sort of boys are, I feel like we're sort of just when we're young, we sort of just get used to the idea of, that's a shameful thing, that I should avoid that. If I wouldn't be caught dead, doing something girly or whatever, So yeah, I think even if you don't necessarily have a problem with gay people, I think that there's a sort of visceral reaction that a lot of boys have, and it's something that I've had in the past too, and it's sort of something that I've thought through over a long period of time. Now, just to be clear, on my position here, I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with being gay. I have friends who have been gay. I knew one girl many years ago, and she was always dating boys, but then one day she met a girl she really liked, and they got married, and they've been, as far as I'm aware, I haven't heard from her in quite a while, but as far as I'm aware, they've been together ever since. And I don't know, she's a good person, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if she's happy, you know, I'm happy for her. So yeah, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. I sort of think of it just in terms of it's just sort of like a preference, you know, just like how some people like ketchup on their fries and some people don't like ketchup on their fries, you know. Everyone's different. Everyone likes different things. I personally don't like ketchup on my fries. I think ketchup on fries is gross, but most of my friends do like ketchup on fries. But, you know, that's okay. We like different things. It's okay for different people to like different things. I don't think there's anything inherently bad or inherently wrong about that. Now, I think, like, in more recent years, there's been more controversy about putting, you know, gay people or gay relationships in TV shows or in movies, and some people say, you know, like, it's bad, like, it's not that gay people are bad, but, you know, the people who made the movie are just doing it just to pander, you know, and it's like, well, I mean, yeah, that's true. Like, whenever people in movies do anything, it's for the purpose of making money, right? But that being the case, like, thinking about the issue, I don't think that, like, if it's okay for people, like a man to be with another man or a woman to be with another woman, if that's okay, and I do think that's okay, if that's okay, then to me, I don't see why it should be a big deal if you see that happening in a movie, because if it's okay, right? I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with this. Like I said, I did, like, when I was making this, when I was putting this, you know, in the game, I did feel a little nervous about it because I didn't know what the reaction was going to be like. But then, like, as I sort of thought through it, I thought, like, you know, but on the other hand, like, you know, I shouldn't be nervous about it because, like, if there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's not like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with this story. So, like, ultimately I decided, like, if it's the right thing to do with the story, I don't see why there's any reason I shouldn't do it. That being said, like, you know, some people do have reactions to it, whether you're against gay people or not. I mean, obviously you're going to have a stronger reaction to it if you are, you know, against gay people. But, like, you know, even if you're not, I think you're going to have a strong reaction. I think that's understandable to some extent. I mean, it's natural, you know, like, I've had those reactions in the past too. But I mean, I just think that if we think it isn't something that's inherently wrong, then I don't think, you know, we should be afraid to do it. It's just something to get used to. That's all. I mean, and once you get used to it, it's just like, oh, okay, you know, there are people like that. And so because there are people like that in the real world, there's going to be people like that in movies and TV and video games and paper computer games. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I think about that. I totally get all of your reactions. I don't want to, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to address all that. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for right now. It was a fun game. I enjoyed working on it. I enjoyed making it. It is disappointing that it didn't resonate as much as possible, but it happens. And I'm still happy I made the game. And so, yeah. By the way, I just wanted to add Epic Worlds. Like, while I was in the middle of filming this video, Epic Worlds released a new video also talking about the same controversy, in which he talks about whether he and the others went too far in criticizing my game. And I thought his video was really thoughtful, really very empathetic, very well done, and just a really great video all around. Like, if you like, it's really good advice on how to criticize someone else's PCGs in general. It also discusses this issue in detail. It's a great video, so you should definitely go check that out as well. I will link it down below and also at the end card over here. Thank you guys for watching. You folks are the best, as always, and PCG later.